Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. We'll call Cleveland Avenue Elementary School Go Team meeting to order. We will follow the agenda as has been emailed to you and publicly noted. I am pleased to call this meeting of Cleveland Avenue Go Team to order officially. It is 4:10, and our first order of business is to call the roll. And so, Ms. Emanuel, would you mind giving us a roll call to ensure we have quorum?
Yes. All right, Dr. Rawls,
Present.
Ms. Brilliance Darden,
Present.
Ms. April Echols. She's here, I see you. Ms. Laquita Roberts. Ms. Brittany White,
Present.
Dr. Real, not here. Mr. William Curry,
Present.
Ms. Donna Jenkins,
Present.
and Ms. Quenisha Hicks.
Present.
Madam Secretary, is there a quorum present?
Yes.
Okay. We move as with the agenda as emailed. Our first action item is to the approval of the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here for those who are present. Please take a moment to review the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? And if not, I'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from our last meeting.
Donna Jenkins, second.
Agenda or is it?
This is the approval of the agenda.
Okay.
So I just want to confirm, Ms. Hicks, you're approving the agenda, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Jenkins has seconded. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as printed and emailed. Everyone in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Aye. If there's anyone in opposition, please signal by saying nay. And would anyone like to abstain from voting on this topic? Okay, so it's been properly moved, seconded, and approved that we're going to move forward with the agenda as disseminated. And now we will actually approve the minutes from our last meeting. They've also been provided to you. If you could take a moment and look those over. And if there aren't any corrections, we can approve the minutes from last meeting. Move forward as well.
I motion that we approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
That concludes motion that we've approved the minutes from the last meeting.
I second the approval of the minutes.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as printed. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 If anyone's in opposition of approving the minutes or has any corrections, please signal by saying nay. Okay, and does anyone want to abstain from voting on this topic? So it's been approved that we move with the minutes, that we approve the minutes from last meeting as printed. All right. And then now we move on to the rest of our agenda items, which is the budget development process. For the next few meetings, we will be focusing on creating a budget for the next school year. We need to ensure that this budget aligns with our strategic plan and addresses our strategic priorities. We need to confirm our meeting schedule allows us to complete the budget within the district's required timeline. We need to have a draft budget completed prior to Friday, February 14th, 2025. Then we would need to have a final budget approval meeting after the principal staffing conference and before Friday, March 14th, 2025. Dr. Rawls, when is your staffing conference scheduled to take place?
The staffing conference will happen in February, or before the February 24th date. We have to have it by February 24th.
Okay, thank you for the information. We will now take a minute to look at our meeting schedule and determine if we can meet the expectations and the timeline. For our future meetings, our follow-up meetings are scheduled for.
I'm sorry, the follow-up meetings, I think there are.
You got one February 26th.
Yes, we're gonna have to move, that should be a part of the presentation.
And then March 26th. So it's saying we need to have 2 meetings for the budget, huh?
So we have to, and it's in the presentation when I start, yeah,
Okay.
I wanna show you those dates.
So we're gonna table this and then go to our next agenda item, which is the budget allocation presentation.
Well, we're gonna,
And
not
then-
table this, when I pull up the presentation, we'll have to look at the dates and then we'll have to change it based on the, due date, so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, table it or move it down to the agenda, so we'll move to your present. So you're saying you're just gonna flip to that slide?
It's a part in the presentation.
Yeah.
For the change in the date part.
Mhm.
So you can go to slideshow view. Thank you, sir. Here we go to the next.
Okay.
Okay. We'll keep going to the next slide. Discussion, keep going. Oh, next. All right, so we're here having this meeting. We gotta have our other two before, so we're at step 3. We gotta have our other meeting before step 4 and step 5. Go next. Slide. This is where we are, so go back.
Mhm.
We have to have the feedback meeting before the 14th and our approval meeting before March 14th. So we gotta have our next meeting before the 14th of February.
Yes.
We just need to talk as a team about how we're gonna change that so we can vote on changing both of those meetings prior to the 14th for the second one and for the last one prior to March 14th. So we can look at calendars and kind of flesh that out.
Okay. You want to do that now?
Yes, so we
Okay.
can vote on it. That's
That's literally 2 weeks, so we gotta meet next week.
Yeah, before the 14th.
Or before the 4th, I mean, there's 3 weeks that we,
Yeah, we just gotta have the meeting
I mean,
before.
only 2 weeks, it's either next week or the week of the 14th.
I mean, I can do whatever, but next week I already have something planned with grade level chairs on Wednesday. If I really need to move it, I can. But to keep us flowing on Wednesday, I think it may be better to do,
The 11th, I mean, the 12th.
for me, but I can work through whatever the team said.
I mean, I'll be traveling, so I know, I mean, I could tune in, but I know I'll be on the road.
You need something?
Thank you.
So you guys just tell me, but yes, we gotta change that one and the other.
So we're looking at the 12th.
I think so. I think because I mean, I can change my grade level chair meeting from next Wednesday to the following Wednesday. But I'd already just sent them an email stating that we would meet next Wednesday.
Okay.
So I guess the
For the
question
rest
is-
of the Go team,
Yeah, that's up
Any
to you guys.
opposition of the 12th.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, so no, that's.
What? Can we not do both meetings next Wednesday, Dr. Ross?
No, because I have to have my staffing conference meeting first before we can approve the actual budget. So I have to have my staffing conference on February 24th. So that would have to be before you guys could do that approval meeting in March. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, I'm saying the meeting for next week. Can you do the one with us and the grade level chairs, or is that too much?
What happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're already scheduled days after school. In which we have some trainings going on. I could do, I could look at what we're doing on that Thursday. But on Wednesday, that's the day that I meet with grade level chairs because they're not required to already stay on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's why I chose Wednesday. So that would be my availability.
Gotcha.
And so the only thing that will pull away is I do have some members like Miss Emmanuel that's on the Go team. That is also, you know, a teacher, and that's one of their collaborative planning days, and I try to not interrupt their flow. Does that make sense?
Duly noted.
Listen, I'm open to suggestions, but just trying to figure out.
I'm available on the 12th. Are we looking at the 5th and the 12th right now?
It said we had to wait till at least the 10th through the
Oh,
14th,
the 10th through the 14th. Got you.
but that's what it said, huh?
Oh, so then if that's the case, then it has to be the 12th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it says. I promise you guys, I just follow the 10th.
So we're looking at the 12th? So we can get a
Mhm.
vote. So we'll go back up to the voting piece and so do we have a motion? Do we have to do that, like a motion? Yes, okay, do we have a motion to move our February 26th meeting to February 12th?
I make a motion that we move our February 26th meeting to February 12th.
Does anyone want to second the motion that we move the meeting to the 12th?
Donna Jenkins second. To move it to the 12th.
And yes, that is the 12th at 4 o'clock.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we move the meeting to the 12th. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 If anyone's in opposition, please signal by saying nay. Does anyone want to abstain from voting on this budget matter or this agenda topic? Okay, so the first meeting has been moved from the 26th to the 12th. But then we also need to move our March meeting to a date before the 14th. We need to wait for Dr. Ross to come back to confirm his availability. But
Are we in the same timeline as we were with the February where it had to be between the 10th and the 14th? Are we in that same time frame?
that one doesn't state that. It just says it has to be after his staffing conference. He just said the date of the staffing conference. And before the 14th. When did he say?
So the staffing conference is February 24th, so it needs to be between February,
24th and March 14th.
yeah, February 24th and March 14th. So we're able to meet after his staffing conference.
So we're doing now, Dr. Rose, the second budget, the next one is now we're talking about the approval meeting?
Yes.
It has to be after February 24th and before March 14th.
Yes, yes. Now, I'm sorry, it has to be after February 24th because I have to have my staffing
Yes.
conference. Right.
Yes, sir.
So after 24th, you're right, before the 14th.
We got it.
Yeah.
They pulled it up. So
Yep,
I was
yep,
just giving you, letting you know we.
Okay, thank you, yes.
Roll, boss.
Appreciate it. So y'all just have to vote on that
So
until.
now you have to vote, and now we're looking at the calendar for proposed dates
Okay.
between the 24th and the 14th.
Yep, and you know, Wednesday works and I'll put it on my calendar. So far we said 14th is gonna work. Y'all haven't voted on that one yet.
Yes, we voted on the first one.
On the 12th.
The
We
12th.
voted
It's the 12th.
Okay,
Yes, we voted
gotcha.
on February 12th, and now we're looking at
And you're gonna
March,
send me those.
Yes.
date in March or work.
So possible dates are January 29th, February 5th, February 12th. We have a break on February 19th, so not the 19th.
It has to be before the 14th.
Oh, it
I
has to
thought
be-
we were in March, the end of.
Yeah, it has to be.
Just kidding, just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the calendar and I'm saying February, so sorry.
Yeah, so it has to be after 24th or the 14th.
And before the 14th. Thank you.
So the 26th, the 5th, or the 12th of March.
Mhm.
You wanna share
I
that?
like the 12th, but whatever the majority.
Let me make sure that I have my dates right. Let me just confirm more time before I let you guys, let me make sure that I have the 24th right, being the day that I'm meeting with her. It's right here.
Hey, hello.
Let me hold on, guys, let me double check to make sure I have that date right for Ms. Lawrence and me for our staffing conference. Just want to check one more time, make sure I got the right dates for you guys. I'm sorry, I have the wrong date. It is February 26th.
The staffing conference?
Yes, mine is February 26th from 9:10 to 9:30. February the 26th. Not the 24th, 26th. So it has to be after the 26th, sorry. I knew it was 27. So that's a correction. My staffing meeting is February the 26th, not the 24th.
Okay, so March 5th or March 12th? Having a meeting 2 days before.
How does your dates look for that, Dr. Rawls, on the 5th and the 12th? Are you open?
I'll make it work. I'll make it work. Whatever you guys are doing is for me, so I'll make it work. I just add it to my calendar.
Instead of 12th?
12th would be better for me because I'm trying to do faculty meetings that first Tuesday in the month, so that would be better.
I like the
But
12th.
I could do it whenever though, because the faculty meeting's on Tuesday, so I could do that when, it doesn't matter.
Motion to vote for the approval meeting or March 12th.
So we could have a vote. So we have a motion, can we have a motion to officially move our March 26th meeting to March 12th?
I, Donna Jenkins, second that motion to move the meeting to March 12th.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded that we move the March 26th meeting to March 12th. We now take a vote. All in favor of moving that meeting, please signal by saying aye.
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 Anyone who's in opposition, please.
Aye.
Okay, anyone who's opposition, please signify by saying nay. And would anyone like to abstain from voting on this agenda item? Okay, so it's been properly moved, seconded, and approved that the meeting is officially moved from March 26th to March 12th. Dr. Rose, you want to finish your allocation presentation?
Go to the next slide. Thank you guys for that. All right, so these are our norms for our meeting. This is a meeting of the GO team. Only members of the team can participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. We will follow the agenda as notice of public and stay on task. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. We respect all ideas and assume good intentions. This is a very important meeting for us to share and go over our next steps with the budget. We can go to the next slide. All right, this is where we are in the process. Our school strategic plan is a roadmap to our role. It sets the direction and priority for our vision. These are the steps that we've been through. Step one, remember we did. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel will send those updated dates. Yes. So guys, remember we started off in the beginning of the year in our first GO team. We reviewed all the data, kind of give us an idea of the data that we had at the beginning of the year. Plus, we did our second meeting where we shared additional data. We looked at our strategic plan review and wanted to make sure that we still had those same plans and we were moving in the same direction with our strategic plan. And then we went back and re-ranked our strategic priorities. Remember, we voted on that at our last meeting. We did all of that moving up to the budget development process to make sure that whatever our strategic plan is and our strategic priorities, that they're aligned and actually aligned to our budget. So that's why we are moving into the budget development process. Next slide. What are we doing here? During our GO team meeting with the principal, I will provide an overview of the budget and positions, allocations, requests for turnaround and signature program funds, and review changes to the gifted service model. We don't have any changes to the model. Actually, our gifted population is actually really low. We're actually need to build up to get the more points and be able to have to earn more value for our teachers. So we won't make any changes to that. Why? This meeting provides an opportunity for the principal and GO team to ensure alignment on Schools' key strategic priorities, gain a deeper understanding of the budget and position allocations, discuss proposed requests for signature program funds and provide input to drive the development of the draft budget. This meeting needed to take place from January 16th to the 31st, and today I think is the 29th, so we met that expectation. Let me know if you have any questions. I can stop and review anything. All right, we go to the next slide. Where we are, the principal's role. Design the budget and propose operational changes that can raise student achievement. Formulate strategies and implement and manage them at the school level. Focus on the day-to-day operations. Serve as the expert on the school. Hire quality instruction and support personnel. The role of the GO team, role as the principal is to collaborate with the GO team on the use of school-level flexibility for position allocations, turnaround initiatives, and signature programs. That's a new process for this year. We'll kind of talk about it. But one good thing, if I guess you can describe it as a good thing, is that we don't receive any turnaround funds, so we won't have any discussion around turnaround initiatives. Turnaround is where the state and the local school district gets together and allocates funds to support schools that have been deemed to need additional support. That could be anywhere from being on a state identified list or scoring low enough under consecutive school years, they receive funding. We don't receive any of that. The other change, and I'll talk about it a little more in the presentation, the district has shifted how they're supporting the signature programs. Signature programs for APS are one of two programs. One was the IB program, and two is the STEM program. These have been the big two initiatives when I came on back in 2022, that each cluster was identified as either an IB cluster or a STEM cluster. And the school district as a whole was putting certain allotment of money in each school to provide it. Now, they have since kind of readjusted funds and how they support those programs. I'll talk about that a little bit later in our presentation. The GO team's role. You guys' role is to focus on the big picture, positions and resources, not people. So we're looking at who do we have, we're looking at the monies that we have, and making sure that we're creating a plan to best support that plan. Ensure that the budget is aligned to the school's mission and vision, and that the resources are allocated to support key strategic priorities. What you guys see here, we'll have it in the presentation next, when we ranked our priorities, making sure where we're spending that money that's aligned to those priorities. Collaborate with the principal on the use of school-level flexibility for position allocation, turnaround initiatives, and signature programs. So we're going to talk about that. And we do. Go to the next slide. Okay. This is kind of where we landed when we went back and did our priorities, and we'll actually see on the next one our school strategic priorities, our school strategies. We've talked about them. And on the next slide, you see where we actually have ranked them. We can go back through them again just to make sure, if people have any questions or points of clarity, but this is the work that we talked about in our last two meetings. What is the actual things that are going to give us our highest impact? And what are the things that we're going to do that will support that work? We can go to the next slide. This is where we actually rank those priorities. And you see 1 through 8 here. I just copied it from our last presentation. Build teacher capacity in math and in reading, with teachers understanding how to deconstruct standards, select effective instructional strategies, and measure student progress. Those are our major two strategic priorities in math and reading. Next, we're going to implement standards-based instruction while creating rigorous student learning experiences that are aligned to the standard and assessed with quality assessments. I love that I have Ms. Emmanuel and other people on the team because they know that we're doing this work. We've been talking about it, and even in their planning now, we just introduced a TNTP document that the coaches are working with, and what they're doing, this document will help make sure that the student learning experience that students are actually doing is aligned to the standard, because that's what we found, that we need to increase that independent segment so students are having time to engage in work that's aligned, so we truly know how close they are to mastering the standard. Number 4, implement PBL units using the engineering design and inquiry-based process, which is what we do. And we will have another PBL night on March 13th. Incorporate learning time for students to address instruction needs based on data, which we have some targeted groups of students that we have for reading and math. Ms. Emmanuel can attest to that. And we actually are tracking that data, as well as we just completed our winter map. And teachers presented their data on the winter map reading and math, and just was talking about their students' progress. Partner with wraparound services and organizations to support with mental health and social and emotional support. We do a great job of that. I have to give kudos to Ms. Price and Ms. Pace, who work continuously to make sure that we not only have the right people, that we're getting the parents the information they need to set those meetings up. Providing learning opportunities for parents and community members to support their children with academic and school readiness. So we actually had a curriculum night in which the parents had an opportunity to come in and engage in some of the different curricular resources and what we're doing instructional strategy wise. And last but not least, opportunities for students to engage in school-based staff with STEM and GSC resources and standards. That's just making sure that we have that exposure to STEM, and that's happening with both parents and with students. Having with parents with PBL night, and actually with teachers as we're developing those PBL units. Those are our strategic priorities, and that's how we actually school priorities, and how we rank them from higher to low. So we want to make sure when we're thinking about our budget that we're aligning the money that we're spending to these 8 priorities. All right, next slide. All right, so I created a rationale, and I don't have to go through all this, but I can. I created a rationale on each one of the priorities and the rationale that ranked with it. The rationale with the K-5 reading and math. Teachers need a toolbox of effective strategies to create authentic learning experience that fosters mastery of both math and reading standards by leveraging practical student data, which we want to use that data to drive what we do. Educators can make informed instructional decisions that drive academic growth. And my teachers do a great job of diving into that. Actually, in that map data presentation, they use that data to then create a plan on what we're going to be our next steps to get the students where they need to be. Providing targeted professional development and resources empowers teachers to implement high-quality instruction that leads to improved student outcomes. So we talked about this. It's very targeted in the professional development we're doing, and will be even more second semester, because we're going to dive into those reimagining opportunities. And those strategies are around the lens of student independent work, and making sure that we're monitoring we academically are monitoring the independent segment. So those are the major initiatives that we're doing. Implementing the next one, implement standards-based instruction while creating rigorous student learning experiences that align to the standard and assessing. Talked about by using multiple strategies in complex situations, students develop critical thinking skills that demonstrate true mastery of the standards. Aligned assessments provide teachers with meaningful data on student progress. That's one of the major initiatives we wanted to make sure of. When we're assessing, we need to be assessing where they are and how much they know around that particular standard to make sure we have a good idea of how we need to support. So those are rationales for those top 3 priorities. We can go to the next slide. And here we go for the next, 4 and 3, 7, or the next 5. We have them right here. With PBL, we've talked about engaging students with those hands-on experiences, which fosters and develops a deeper understanding of those science standards. By making things real world, it also increases creativity, more collaboration, and engagement for students. And it makes it more meaningful as we prepare students for STEM opportunities in the future. All right, incorporating time for students, being very intentional to provide that target instruction to close learning gaps, providing the scaffolding to increase student mastery of key concepts, and using that data to really guide the intervention and supports for our students. Creating the partnerships, making sure we're addressing and supporting the whole child, creating a strong foundation of learning, and fostering culture of care for families and stakeholders. So it's very important with that wraparound. It's not only helping the students, but it's also helping families at home. So it's a great job there. And last but not least, providing opportunities for parents to engage in the instructional strategies that are being taught. I think this is a big one because I think parents are at home trying to learn how to help students with homework. But by providing them opportunities to engage in those strategies and actually seeing what's happening in school, helps them be able to support them out. So those are our rationales for our priorities. Go to the next slide. And stop me if you have questions. Any questions in the chat? or anything?
No.
All right, we're about to get to the main part. Here are our allocations. So the allocations is pretty much where the district goes through their funding formula. And each year they are sending out what's allocated based on the projections for next year. So we, in our proposed budget, it's reflected that we will have $5,918,518,542 to function next year. It's projected that we will have 227 students in our building next school year. That's down 3 students from this school. I always say it can be somewhat misleading because we'll have more students in the building, but those 20 students in pre-K do not count towards my school allocation because that's a different pot of money that comes from not APS, but comes from the state or federal government. So even though those students are in my building, they don't count towards my allocation. But we do receive funding, it just doesn't count towards mine. All right, this is the first tab here. They introduced this tab on our budget this year to show you the changes. What you see here on FY26 will be what we will be receiving next year. FY25 is what we had this year, and the last column shows you the change. If you want to read it and have a better understanding, FY25 shows we projected to have 230 students. FY26 projects we will have 227. And as you see on the change, we went down 3 students. And as you see per pupil, we were at 223,408. And we went up to $26,073. So it looks like there were some shifts, and it looks like that you may have earned more, but we're gonna talk about, even though you may have earned more in certain segments because they gave us more funding, or certain per pupil being the grade level for students, because you'll see some changes here. But overall funding, we did not. So we're in the red. All right, you wanna go to the next slide? And stop me if you have questions, please. All right.
I do have a quick question, Dr. Ross.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we lost 3 students from when we started the school year? Is that what you're saying?
No, what they are saying is each year they do a enrollment projection or allocation. So they have a formula they use based on the community, based on the trends. And what they're saying right now, based on the trends and the data, we're projected to only have 227 kids, which is down 3 students.
Got it. Thank you. I missed that. Thank you, though.
Projection.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Go to the next one. Was that Ms. Caldwell? Please jump in anytime, Ms. Caldwell, if there's something that I missed.
Yes, sir, I got you.
Okay. So as you see here, I tried to put it all on one, but there was no way to fit everything, but it's the same concept in terms of where we were in 26, where we were in 25, and the changes here on the end. So as you guys see, I tried to just copy it all the way over. The concentration of poverty, you see that we had it, but we lost it, and we lost $20,000 in that area.
And what is that we lost?
The concentration of poverty. So they had some of these special, and I guess that's the best way to describe Ms. Caldwell. They had different line items, and they were putting different amounts in the funding to support schools, but they have shifted some of that funding to make sure that they're funding all students. Because where they moved money from here, they also added money to the normal, to each individual allotment. So you will see on the previous slide, a kindergarten student or a 3rd or 4th grade student earn more money, but they moved the concentration in poverty in some of the others. And if you look over here in this last column, you see what was taken away, and you see how much money we actually lost. Small school supplement was one that was hit. We had 267,000, went from 293. We lost $25,000 there. You guys see that? I'm just trying to show it to you in the number form.
And that's because of the per pupil allocation, because you lost, the projection is that you're going to lose 3 students.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I wish there was a way, Ms. Caldwell, I tried. I could not get the full sheet on one.
Oh, no, like all of them are appearing this way when you do the screen grab, so you're fine.
I tried. I promise, guys, I tried so it could make a little bit more, but it was hard to get it all on there. But this is just showing you kind of the shifts. All right, here we go with signature program. I kind of talked about this in the beginning. It's at the top of the line. You see here, this is for next year. We have $0. This year we had $307,000. You see, we've took they removed $307,000 from our budget. What the district said was, we are trying to find ways to save money. We're $108 million in the hole, and it's not that they're not going to give it to me. I'll show it later in the presentation, but funding the full, yes, my signature program is STEM, I'm sorry. Yes, it is STEM. So our signature program is STEM. And so what the district has said is, we're going to fund it, but now we're going to be more conscious of what we're funding it for, and exactly to make sure we have a true plan for it. But we're not getting this full amount of $307,000. We're getting something, and the question posed to us is, what do you want for us to be able to, for you to function with STEM? And what are those essential pieces that you need? And I'll talk to you about what my
So
theory is.
I
Yes.
have a question. So just ideally within our school, what do we use this $307,000 for STEM?
So
this
that
year?
would be multiple things. You have, number one, the STEM specialist position comes out of there.
Okay.
That's one piece, and that's a
Gotcha.
huge chunk. of
Yeah.
it. There are some things at the district level that they provided. There are workshops and things that people went to. There are resources that we had that we could buy that's all centered
STEM
around.
teachers too.
Yes,
Oh,
fees,
okay.
etc. So those are the things
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. Thank you for being a teammate, a partner there.
Of course, that's what I'm here for.
And as you see, like I said, lucky or no lucky, we get no turnaround funds, so that really didn't impact us anywhere. I'm gonna tell you one that does kind of go, Title I, we usually get more money, but you see, we've shifted. We're only gonna have 153,000, so we lost almost $50,000 in title fund. Talked about also with the holdback, you're getting a little bit of an increase there, $4,000 with the holdback. We gotta hope that that goes through. And I'm not even gonna talk about some other stuff I'm hearing out in the media about title funds and things of that nature. So we will hope that things are great and we still get all that funding, but we'll just have to wait and see. Security grant is another one. So we talked about this in one of our.
Quick question, Dr. Ross.
Yes.
What does it look like in the event we don't get that funded? Would that put us at a major deficit?
Great question.
For the next school year?
Well, a great question, a little bit above my pay grade. I think we are making our projections based on what we currently have and the functionality of it. And once again, that's just something I'm throwing that I heard. Go Team didn't tell me anything. APS hadn't told me anything. It's just different things that I'm hearing out in the community or we're seeing on the internet. Not 100% sure what that looks like, but that would mean we may not have all of that funding. And I don't know, Ms. Caldwell, if you want to jump in, but that was just something that staff have been sharing and things of that nature with me.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. And hello, everyone. Basically, as the Go team, you all will have the decision and have an open discussion later on after this presentation. I'm sure there's probably a few more slides to go to determine, what the school needs. If that is a signature program that the school wants to continue on with, then it's going to be up to the principal to basically plead a case, right? You may not be able to get all the funds that you've had in the past, but if the Go team deems it most appropriate that the programming, the STEM programming specifically for Cleveland is required, that aligns with your strategic plan, then you have a dog in the fight, so to speak, to argue for those funds to be allocated to the school's budget.
And I'm
It's-
sorry, I didn't know which part you were referring to. I'm sorry for the question, but yes, we will have a deeper dive into what the signature program looks like. Support here in our signature program is STEM.
Mhm.
Give me 1 second, I guess it kicked me out,
Oh,
and I don't know if that stopped our
okay.
streaming as well.
We are having maybe some technical challenges. Miss Emmanuel was saying we got to make sure we're still streaming as well as be able to pull back up the PowerPoint.
I don't know why it kicked me out.
All right, so we can go back. Some of the things I want to highlight as well, you see the security grant, we talked about it. That is from last year to this year. As of next year, we will have to have all that spent, so that $45,000 will go away. One of the things I would like to add is the flex position we had last year. This was the district supporting us, giving us equivalent to 1 position. We have it this year. We won't have it next year. That's zeroed out. We'll miss that $132,000. And I think those are just some of the major deals that we will have. We can go to the next slide. All right, this is the summary tab. So as you look at this tab, this is what we've earned, and I can walk through the different parts. The summary tab provides a summary of staff in our school. The column shows how many positions are earned. Earned positions are allotted by school, by district, departments. There's no school level flexibility with these positions. That means if it's earned, we can't look at that position as a way to alter it to meet our budget. So here's what I will tell you that I didn't put in the presentation, but this is just the allocation presentation. As of right now, I have to balance our budget. Our budget is saying that we are over $700,000 in the red for next year. Repeat it again. We're over $700,000 in the red. Okay, make it make sense, Doc. What I'm saying is, for me to purchase 1 piece of paper, 1 marker, or anything for next year, I must cover the $700,000 to get us to 0. Then I must find additional funding to fund the school for next year. So we have to, as a team, make some tough decisions for next year. So we will have to look at truly based on our allocations and funding amounts, what are those essential things? And what are those things that we will have to shift? There's no way we're going to be able to function with the staff and allocation of resources we have now for next year when we're over $700,000 in the red. I just want to be upfront with the team as we're thinking through it. Tough decisions, but the right work and right decisions we have to make because we have to keep the school open and we got to think about what's most impactful for our students. Just want to put it out there. So earned positions, these are positions that are earned by the district. We can't touch them. There's no flexibility. We have to have these positions. And you're looking at columns. So everything earned you see here, you cannot do anything with this, grayed out. Funded positions, these are positions where the district recommends staffing for positions where the school level flexibility with staffing the position. For example, we're funded 2 positions, as you guys see in these columns here. This is what we're funding. Staff position. This shows how the position is currently staffed at the school. So we're funded for 2 positions. I have 1 staff in kindergarten. You see how it goes. And the difference shows the difference between what's recommended and what's funded. Okay, we can do that with an example here. Let's look at kindergarten. We're funded 2, we're staffed 1. I explain a little bit more. There's a difference of 1, so we got to figure that out. Comments, the principal provides comments if there's a difference in funded and staff. Principal and Go team will discuss the rationale provided in the comment section. I have not made any of that. I just wanted to show you guys the allocations on where we were. Historically, here at Cleveland, we've been losing the enrollment piece. I've tried to keep 2 teachers per grade level. I've tried to keep 2 teachers per grade level, and this actually may work out for us here because you see 3rd grade is allocated for 3 teachers, but you also see that I have 2 that's funded, but only 1 kindergarten staff. So I may have to look at going from 3 of those teachers in 3rd to make sure we have 2 in kindergarten
And
But-
this is for next
for next year.
Okay.
Once again, we gotta go back and talk about what's not on here is $700,000 in the red. $700,000 in the red. And you are supporting 227 students. Okay, you see here the kindergarten EIP. Have 1 here, what was happening last year. I staffed 1 in the general kindergarten and I staffed 1 in EIP kindergarten. So there's an opportunity there for me to look at some saving. I can condense maybe one of those positions, and that'll save us $127,000. That's the other thing. So there are amounts that are allocated here. You see here that it has a total of 3 that are funded in EIP. We're only really using 2 of those. I have a reading and math EIP teacher, but it's got 3. So this is an opportunity here for us to try to save us some money. You see here, it must match. So we have an ESOL teacher only a 0.8. We have a 0.7 at staff. So we got to match that 0.7 back over to a 0.8. We don't really touch any of the DSC that's provided for us. So I can't really touch those allotments that's provided based on the clientele that we serve. Go to the next slide. So many others here. You see we have autism teachers that are already accounted for. I can't touch any of that. This is another one that I'm going to have to talk to the DSC department about, a visually impaired teacher, to see what that looks like. I know we're servicing a student right now. If she's here still with us, we got to make sure that we're able to service that student. We have a SELP that's here in a 0.5. Typically, it's been a full point, so I've been having to cover the other 0.5. It's something we have to have a discussion about. Here's another special ed portion of it. You got 5 special ed pairs that doesn't really come from me. I can't really touch any of it, so that will be based on student need. A pre-K paraprofessional, once again, it's not going to be touched by me. That comes from a different department, so they will actually be servicing that as well. Paraprofessionals, we have 2. So we have to look at that as well and see what we need to do with those changes. Of course, you got a principal, assistant principal. You only have 1 secretary. You got a half-time bookkeeper and 1 to 11 clerk to support us. That's what we have. We never really feel this half-time bookkeeper, but we actually are applying for it now. That's a big support for us here in the building because we did have a school business manager who was helping us with finances and helping us as we actually had a bookkeeper. We no longer have that. So now my secretary is doing dual roles. We got to figure out a space to support in that financial piece of it. Next slide. All right, here we go. Also, what we have here, you see we have a full-time counselor, the 4 point, that's what we've earned. We have as a Readers as Leaders coach, and we have a media specialist, and we have 2 instructional coaches. One shift that actually took place as well, Readers as Leaders was an initiative that was brought on last year. The district put millions of dollars into it. It's been a shift this year. As a Readers as Leaders coach will be looked at as an instructional coach and lumped into the same type of duties, roles, and responsibilities. So that's something else that we would be looking at as well. So in essence, it looks that we have 3 instructional coaches here at Cleveland with a school the size of 227 students. It's something also to be taken in consideration. We have a 1 media specialist. As you see in the earlier columns, you remember if it's earned, we can't touch it, but if it's not, like we have an opportunity here that we could actually look at that That's one of those flexibility pieces, with our media specialists. You know, talking about making sure we're still providing those great services, but we have an opportunity to look and see, is that something that we would want to look at? Any questions about it? And Ms. Caldwell, please help. I'm trying to share it in the most productive way that I can. If there's any insight, please share.
Oh, yes, sir. You're doing great.
Okay. All right. So as you see here, once again, this is a perfect example. Okay. That when we talked about earn what you can't touch, you see here the social worker, that is a position that we do have some flexibility because it doesn't fall in that gray out area. Actually, so that's something we can consider. Looking at instructional technology specialists, you really don't want to touch your custodians and things of that nature. Lead the actual psychologist. Okay. Excited. Just wanted to let you guys know these are all different things we have to consider. I just want you to think of that figure in your head, $700,000 that we have to figure out. We have to figure out how to get that back. And then talking about what must be matched and earned here, you see that we've earned this, and this is the difference here. We got to find all those things have to balance out. Next. All right, this is the non-staffing tab. What you see here is the 65,000 is reserved, and we could talk about this. The non-staffing shows how funds are allocated for non-staffing items in the school. There is school level flexibility for most of these items. The tabs has columns for recommended. That is the district's recommended amount to spend on the line. Allocation, it shows how much money has been allocated towards the line, and the difference. Difference shows the difference between the recommended amount and allocation amount. So the reserve is built into every budget. And so this says, based around our leveling that we get in September, if we meet the projected 227 students, we'll get $65,000 coming back to us. If we don't, for every student we don't get, and I think last year was around $5,000, you'll lose $5,000 pulled from this reserve. All right. The rest of these are just allocated normally as what we've had and what we could actually use, and we'll be able to make some shifts around it. But this is what is recommended, and that's what's allocated. Next slide. Academic stipends. This is a new one this year that cannot be changed. That is saying that for grade level chairs, there's $3,000 built in for each grade level. And I think it's 6 grade levels, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Each one of those, I got $3,000 put in the budget for that. So we will make sure that we actually have grade level chairs. I can't touch that money. That's nothing we can do with it. In addition to that, you see these teacher subs. Want to share that with you. That is something I've been running into this year. Our sub account, for some reason, we are having more people out normal than usual. And right now, right for this year, we spent almost $36,000. I gotta share something else with you, but this is Go Team. I'm being very honest. Please keep this amongst us with the team, but they've also shared for us next year. We probably won't have those in-person subs again. So what does it happen? That means I've had 2 in-person subs that I've been able to put in classrooms to support when people are out. I can't touch this amount of 50,000, but it's all that they're allocating. I can add to it, but we got $50,000 to use for subs. And when people are out, that comes from me in the local school. So that's the other thing I do want to share with you guys. And we talked about substitute FICA, which is kind of like the what we have to pay in fees for them. I'm trying to share as much as I can with you guys so you're in the light. Next slide. All right. Overview. This is our overview and plan for signature program. So the district is piloting a zero-based budgeting process for signature program and turnaround funding. What that means is zero-based budgeting is budgeting process that allocates funding based on program efficiency and necessity rather than budget history. Meaning, we want to talk about is the impact of it, and truly what do we need in order to function? Not in the perfect world, but what do we need in order to support our STEM? Because STEM is our signature program. We don't fall in the turnaround because we're not on that list or in that category. Principal will develop a proposed request for personnel and non-personnel they need to support signature program or turnaround programs at their school. Principals will share and discuss their proposal and rationale for the proposals with their school Go Team for feedback. After discussion with the Go Team, principal will submit their request and review by January 31st. Funding for these programs will be provided the week of February 3rd. So I'll tell you what my plan is. Next slide. My plan is to convert our STEM or signature program coach to a STEM lab teacher. And my rationale is we will still be able to have and engage in STEM. But what will happen is my STEM lab teacher will do a lot of that STEM prep and preparation for STEM through a specialist rotation, in which students will engage in PBL work, they will engage in hands-on experiences, they will engage in experiments that are already allocated towards that STEM piece. How we still will provide that instruction for PBL, I will embed a PBL plan and it will be pushed out through our faculty meetings and a monthly timeline. So in essence, what will happen is we'll still have PBL, we'll create a timeline, and we'll have a team that say, okay, for this month, this is our expectation for PBL, so we're still working through it. In addition to that, we're gonna collaborate with our instructional coaches because we have all of the STEM proxies and we have all the benchmark assessments that we will work with our instructional coaches to still support fifth grade with that science instruction. But I feel like this provides us still where we are because we won't have the funding to do the full STEM program coach. What we will, and we can support that work through a STEM lab teacher. That's my proposal. Now, you guys tell me what your thoughts are, because I think we have to kind of discuss our plan for signature program. Is that right, Ms. Caldwell?
Yeah, so now you have the open discussion about if anyone has any questions or feedback about what you shared about the budget.
Yes. Questions about the budget, feedback about the budget.
So I think my first thought, because I think we're transitioning to this model now, a little bit towards the end of the year, like with a
Yes.
STEM lab teacher
Yes. So
helping out.
technically,
So-
right now, what we're switching to is not an official STEM lab teacher because it's not teacher of record. But for the
Yes,
work, it's gonna be
but-
very much aligned to it. And my premise about making that shift is I'm trying to do less is more for you guys
Yes.
as you're working on other components, and now we can push it out where we get support on that, and it's not as a heavy of a lift. That was my thought.
So, I like that because it gives us a chance to see what it would be like. And so as a teacher, I don't think we receive support with science, but you were saying maybe through staff meetings monthly, we will get science instruction.
That was my
support.
plan, to have the PBL/science instruction once a month.
Okay.
Now, what we could do, because we're gonna develop a more detailed plan for science with our IoT team. And so that could convert to once a month in science, we have a PL for science. And that may be just planning out what does the month of August look like as you guys in there. And it may
Okay.
just be let's look at our lessons, so we're doing it that way.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that I can really think of a way, because with 700,000, I just gotta figure
Yeah,
out
got
what that looks like. But that is a great question. So for the question that Ms. Emmanuel posed is if we're shifting and moving things differently for next year, let me go ahead and provide the context. Up until this current school year, we've always had a STEM specialist, and I charged the STEM specialist with help and support for science instruction with a high regard in third, fourth, and fifth, and really a big push in fifth grade for science instruction. With making this shift next year and shifting the role to a STEM lab teacher, or wandering around science and STEM will be, where would that support come, making sure that my science lessons and units are where they need to be, and I'm preparing for science instruction. The idea and thought behind it is we still would have to have a targeted plan for fifth grade, because fifth grade is a tested content area and grade level, but develop a plan where it may be more of a once a month PL day or faculty meeting where we're focused on science. And it may be very general to focus on the actual unit or standard for the month, and making sure that we have those assignments and activities aligned. But the additional part of it would be that for the PBL timeline, things of that nature, they will be shared monthly as well. So we're on track to still have that STEM PBL engagement, because my faculty and community really engaged in the STEM PBL night. So I don't want to lose that, but it would just look a little different. So I hope I answered that.
Yeah, and not like putting ideas out there, but will the coaches' roles look like more so like a math science, well, math social studies coach than a reading science
Jumping. So
coach?
I'm with you.
I know I'm jumping, I'm just thinking ahead.
But
That doesn't matter, $700,000.
that,
I got you.
I'm not
Right.
saying no, but I'm saying you're going into a little bit of the thinking that we were
Okay.
going to, which
I got
is looking at, and Miss Caldwell, keep me on track here, but it is something to be considering, because I did bring it up as I talked earlier when we talked about allocations. As it looks right now, I have three coaches
for
with
200.
227 students. So that's gonna be to be very honest, thinking about allocations and the staff that we have, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a hard sell to think about 3 for 227. So that may be some of that decision making that has to happen. But
Okay.
great observation. Anyone else? But that was great, Mr. Manning. Anyone else around? Anything else on the budget you saw? Anything else you want clarity around?
Dr. Ross, on that same topic of what Mr. Emmanuel is speaking of, what does that really look like for the students? I guess I'm posing this question for the students that actually have to take the GMATs.
So what would
Because
happen?
again,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, because again, like you said, that's a testing content. So what does this look like relatively to the success of the students' performance on the GMATs?
The good thing is we have a blueprint, meaning that we've been doing it a couple years with those proxy assessments that are aligned, the benchmark assessments that are aligned, having some work with some of my teachers here who've already looked at some of those structures, and even the person that's in the role having an understanding of it. So my plan would be, just because we may not have the role in the same position, it will be finding a plan to embed that. So what that would look like is we still will have some planning pieces, but how it's shifted out and planned, it may be different in terms of who's leading it. It may be different in terms of the follow through and more check-ins. Does that make sense? Because I'm just saying that subset of work doesn't go away, but that subset of work may have to look different in how it's presented to teachers. Because I'm not saying out with all the science support. I'm saying who and how it's provided may look a little different based on funding. Does that make sense, Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
Because I'm not saying no, because you're right. I don't want to lose in that area. I just have to be more creative with the $700,000 that we're in the negative with. And I'm up for discussion if there are other things, but I'm trying to figure out what that would look like. And it's like I said, we can go back to other parts of the allocation as well.
So. Are you asking like where else, or you're just saying this is a big portion of the $700,000?
No, I'm saying we can go back to the other pieces when you talk about allocations.
Oh, okay, no.
You see what I mean? When you talk about allocations, this is what we're saying. We're saying we allocated this, we're saying we have a difference here, we're saying we didn't got into the dollar amounts, we just saying
Oh, okay.
we gotta look at, we got $700,000, we gotta think about what those things and changes. Cause we can't function with where we are, we gotta make some changes. Ms. Caldwell, please chime in if I'm missing something, you can guide me in a different direction, I'm open to it.
Oh, you're all good. Keep on going.
Okay. We can go to the next slide then. All right, this is my rationale for the STEM teacher. I said the STEM teacher will provide hands-on STEM experiences that enhance engagement and deep understanding of science standards. The position will create more opportunities for students to participate in STEM lab experiments and develop critical thinking skills through the CER writing process. So we're gonna talk about journaling and things of that nature. So it allows them to engage in that, and it's not going to impact the teachers in their classrooms, because now we'll have someone supporting you with that work. So it kind of takes it off of their plate. Next slide. All righty, it should be some other pieces. Keep going. I thought I added. Go back. I should add some more slides.
Go back.
Go back. Should add some more slides. I should add a non-staff thing. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, that is it. Keep going. So we're gonna go back, we'll have our feedback meeting between the 10th and the 14th. I think we've already established that on the 12th. Cluster superintendent review on the 17th through the 21st we'll have. Mine is actually on the I'm sorry. We'll review with them the 17th to the 21st, and I actually have my staffing conference on the 26th. And then we'll come back and do our final approval before the 14th. Any other questions or things that we need to discuss around the allocation? I will tell you, just being transparent with you guys as a goal team, when you equate $720,000 to a budget, if you would have to say on average, one position is kind of about $127,000 in a general sense. When you're looking at it in a very general sense, if you're looking at it, that's about 6 to 7 positions.
So I want to be clear on what we're voting on, because I know we
Yes.
had a little issue. So the next meeting, we will be voting.
The next meeting, I will bring to you guys what I have looked at, what we've talked about. I met with my cluster superintendent. We're gonna talk about some things. I'll bring it to you guys and saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is what we will have that discussion.
Okay, and then the next meeting after that is the voting.
Yes, the
Okay.
voting for the final one. But just so be thinking about it, we're kind of setting the tone for, okay, we know it's not gonna look like it looked last year.
Mhm.
We know it's not gonna be perfect. We know
$700,000.
$700,000. So we know some things got to go. I want to be able, it's not gonna be everything we have, we keep. So you gotta
Yeah.
think as a team, essentially, what are those major components we need to run a school?
Our strategic plan.
Aligned to our strategic plan. And that's talking about the math and reading instruction, providing differentiated instruction, wraparound services, all of those things that we have. And if you need to go back in this presentation, you look at the earn that we can't touch. There's some flexibility pieces in there too that we can. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, think outside of the box. Don't think about what you normally have in a building. Think about what you need to have for the building to run. That's even down to class size, even down to some of the services and things that we have. I'm already thinking about being creative about, okay, so this role, can it be attached to this role? Can this then be done with this person? We gotta start thinking, I'm sorry, the responsibilities, not the person. Those actions that are being taken care of by this, is there an opportunity to do some of that?
Mhm.
And I hope I'm sharing that right, Ms. Caldwell.
Yes.
I think my question I'm wondering what's gonna happen after we get out of the hole, because $700,000, like we're talking about how to get out of that, but then when we start at zero, like what do teachers have to, help
Great
students
question.
be successful after that?
So one of the
After all
things that I'm
those
trying to
adjustments.
do is, and I don't know if I need to say this, may I get my hands slapped, but I wanna go ahead and pre-order things for next year with the
Oh,
budget that we have.
Yeah.
Supplies, like I
Mhm.
wanna go ahead and try to order as much as we can, so we'll have already there. I'm trying to think about subscriptions that we wanna use next year that we can go ahead and add on this year, so when we
Okay,
wrap
so we
around
can
to
be
next. Some of
prepared.
the other things that I hope is we really meet our enrollment, so at least we get the 65,000 back by leveling.
Mhm.
So we gotta make sure we hit that target. Those are some of the different things that I know, but there's still some uncertainty about getting above, cause to your point, I gotta get 720 just to be zero.
Mhm.
I really need 800 or 900 to get us a couple 100,000 to work
Get
with.
us a t-shirt.
That's to really get there, but go ahead, you had something else? I'm sorry. Did you? Okay. So yeah, that's where we are, Go Team. I'll say it this way. It could be a situation that could be a little bit worse. This is what I mean. As of right now, we do have a budget and we're open for next year. Now, when we may be open with the meat and potatoes and no dessert and no appetizer, but in the same token, we're open to be able to function and provide for our community. I've always said since I've been here, Cleveland Avenue Elementary is a staple in this community. I cannot imagine it not being here, but now we have to become more of a steward of the funding that we receive. So just be thinking about that, and as we come back together, trust me, trust me and you and all of us believing that I have already have meetings set up between my HR staffing director and the budget department and with my cluster superintendent. So we're having these discussions, and when we come back, I'll have some different ideas for us to decide. But perfect world, perfect scenario, we gotta kind of think differently. What are the meat and potatoes to run the building? And I think that's any other questions or anything else before we wrap up this meeting? Ms. Caldwell, we got anything else?
No, I think you all covered it. Thank you so much for being so thorough and, being transparent about what's happening. Appreciate that.
We can go past the slide. I'm sorry, go ahead and go past the slide. All right, so I do want to share some updates. We do have a principal chat and shoot that's coming on February the 26th from 1 to 2. And we were just talking about it, the Cleveland Avenue basketball team and cheerleaders actually have a game tonight that started at 5. I want to give a big shout out to our local church that has supported us. I'm gonna tell you about what they did for us. They helped support us with getting uniforms for our boys basketball team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The games are coming up. We have one tonight, of course, January 29th. We have another one February 5th, and we have another one March 6th. Those are just ones we know immediately. Please bear with us as they have been making schedule changes. As you guys are aware, we had the snow and ice, and so I know there will be games that we have to make up. But kudos and much support to our church that supported us with making sure that we had the uniforms for the boys. Please come out and support us if you can. We're really trying to get the principal chat and chew up and going as well, so we can have some support there. We're also working on doing some different things with our scholars. We're actually gonna have some type of dance. I don't know if we're gonna do it around February, but we're gonna do it soon to also raise some more funding for students. And I think that's all that I have with updates for us. Thank you guys for all that you do, and I'm turning over to you, Mr. Curry.
Well, thank you, Principal Rawls, for sharing information about the school's allocation, requests, and funds. At our next meeting, we'll have the opportunity to review the entire budget in detail and provide additional feedback to ensure it aligns with our school's strategic priorities and the needs of our students. We remind all Gold Team members to complete their budget training on the ELIS Pro platform.
Ellis.
Pardon me.
You fine, I just wanted to share the Ellis, yes.
If you need assistance with the platform, please contact the Gold Team office. Does anyone have any additional announcements?
I just have a question. This is Ms. Jenkins. And I'll look in my email, was that shared separately, or was that, I was trying to make sure, was that a part of my training? But I'll look for it. Like, where will we find the budget training?
Ms. Caldwell, can you support with that?
I'm sorry, what was that last question?
Where can they get information about the budget training? Go Team members.
Oh, if you email Diane Jacoby, do you have her information? If not, I can put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Right, well, if that's everything, can we get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. Does anybody want to second the motion?
I second the motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn today's meeting. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anyone in opposition of adjourning today's meeting? Please signal by saying nay. And would anyone like to abstain from voting on this agenda item? All right, well, it's been moved, seconded, and approved that we end today's meeting at 5:24 on the dot. All right, thank you all. We look forward to seeing you again on February 12th at 4 p.m. for our budget meeting.
I will share all.
Thank you, guys.